Welcome, students. In the last couple of classes, we were solving linear equations, and in each of those situations, we ended up with a solution in the form x equals a number, like x equals 2, or x equals -4, or x equals 0. That happens most of the time, but there are two other situations we can find ourselves in, and those are what we're going to look at today. And we're going to look at two examples that demonstrate these situations. First, let's solve 4 times x plus 1 minus 2x equals 2x plus 4. First, we're going to simplify the left-hand side. We can start by distributing that 4. This gives us 4x plus 4 minus 2x equals 2x plus 4. And then we can combine like terms on the left. 4x minus 2x is 2x, so we have 2x plus 4 equals 2x plus 4. Some of you may have seen this before and know where we're going, but I want to go one step further before we make any final kind of conclusions. We have variables on both sides, and so we need to get rid of one of those variable terms. We're going to do that by subtracting 2x on both sides. When we do that, the variable on the left cancels, leaving us with 4. And on the right, the variable on the variable cancels as well, so we're left with 4. And so we end up with 4 equals 4. Now, my question to you is, does 4 equal 4? And yes, 4 does equal 4. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is, doesn't matter what country we're in, 4 is always equal to 4. This is always true. And it doesn't even matter what the value of x is. We could actually pick any number for x in the original equation and plug it in, and we're going to end up with a true equation. So what we say in a situation like this, where we end up with a true equation in the end, is we say all real numbers, because all numbers work as solutions. It's different from what we saw before. Before we got a single solution, now any number is going to work. And there's a name for this situation. We call it an identity. WebAssign might ask you for identity. It might ask you to type in all real numbers. It will tell you exactly what to do. But in general, the solution we say is all real numbers. And the name for this situation is that it's an identity. And we could check. We can plug in any number for x. This is more fun in an actual classroom because I can ask students, give me a number, and whatever number they pick, we can plug it in. But I'm just going to have to pick a number because I can't get input. I'm going to pick 5. Let's pick 5 for x. So let's check this with x equals 5. 4 times 5 plus 1 minus 2 times 5 equals 2 times 5 plus 4. On the left, we need to start inside the parentheses. 5 plus 1 is 6. So this is 4 times 6 minus 2 times 5 equals 2 times 5 plus 4. Next, we do the multiplications, and we can do both of them, actually all three of them at the same time, because they're all in different terms. 4 times 6 is 24, minus 2 times 5 is 10. On the right, 2 times 5 is 10 plus 4. Now on the left, 24 minus 10 is 14. On the right, 10 plus 4 is 14. It checks out. You could pick a different number. You could pick 4, you could pick 0, you could pick 1,000 if you wanted to, and it's always going to work. That's why we say the answer is all real numbers. Whenever we have a true equation, like 4 equals 4, or 3 equals 3, or 0 equals 0, or -8 equals -8, we're going to say the solution is all real numbers. All right, let's look at the other situation that can occur. This time, we're going to solve 3 times x plus 1 equals 3x plus 1. On the left, we can distribute that 3 to simplify the left-hand side. That gives us 3x plus 3. On the right, we have 3x plus 1. Now, we're in the situation where we have variable terms on both sides, so we need to eliminate one, and we can do that by subtracting 3x on both sides. The x's cancel on the left, leaving us with that 3. And on the right, they cancel, leaving us with that 1, this term up here. So we end up with 3 equals 1. Does 3 equal 1? No, 3 is never equal to 1. Doesn't matter if it's a weekday or a weekend, doesn't matter if we're in Istanbul or New York. This is never true. And what this means is that it doesn't matter what we pick for x, the original equation is never going to be true. So we say there is no solution. All right. There's a name for an equation like this. We call it a contradiction. A contradiction is something that is just not possible. It's never true. And this equation is never going to be true. You could spend your entire life plugging in different numbers for x, and unless you make a mistake, you're never going to get the left and right hand sides equal to each other. So we have 2 examples of things here that can happen that are different from what we saw the other day. If we end up with anything like x equals 3, or x equals -2, or x equals 0, all of these are final answers. Those are our solutions. They tell us what the value is for x. But if the variable disappears and we end up with something like 6 equals 6 or -8 equals 4, then we have to interpret the situation. For 6 equals 6, that's true. It's always true. So it's going to be all real numbers. And if we solve something and end up with -8 equals 4, that's never true, and so we conclude no solution. These are the 3 different possibilities that we can end up with. One solution, all real numbers, and no solution. And if you want more practice going through these sorts of problems, you can click on the link below and look at some more example problems. As always, I recommend that you work these problems out yourself first if you feel comfortable, and then watch the video to check your answer so that you can learn from any mistakes that you may have made.